It's All-Star Weekend, so we thought we would find out about what fellow All-Stars and other players thinking about your new-look Philadelphia 76ers. And let's just say, this should make Sixers fans feel pretty good. They're different. Obviously, they've been good, but they added more depth, more athleticism, more scoring, more star power, and you look at that starting lineup and it's really good, and you've got McConnell coming off the bench with Ennis and Jonathon Simmons, so it gives you some athleticism coming off the bench. They are up there, James Harden, big, long, athletic. It will be interesting to see how much better they can get, adding Tobias Harris and those guys, because they have already shown they can be one of the top teams in the East, so with those new additions, I think the sky is the limit for them. It's going to be fun to watch, Mike Conley, when you have 4 guys that are really all-stars on a team, and then a bunch of other guys around them that can play really well. It makes it interesting to see how it's going to work out. It makes them tough. Danny Green, who also said Tobias Harris should have been an all-star. Right now they are extremely dangerous, need a little bit more time to play together, but they can match anybody in the world. Nikola Jokic, tough. They are probably in the talks to win the championships, for sure. Luka Doncic, they're a super talented team. We've got a good rivalry going. They are super competitive. We are very familiar with them, and they are very familiar with us. Lot of trash talking out there. That's what makes basketball super fun when you're super competitive like that and everyone is watching. Jason Tatum, all the players they have, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler now, and also got JJ Redick as a shooter, and now they just incorporated Tobias. They're going to have to get their chemistry together with him. They're just going to be a totally different team. Kawhi Leonard, click here to download the My Teams app by NBC Sports. Receive comprehensive coverage of your teams and stream the Flyers, Sixers and Phillies games easily on your device. Around the Sixers, the conversation around Ben Simmons often centers, in a hyper-focused, incredulous manner, on the one thing he does worse than any other regular point guard in the NBA. Sure, the many things he does well are part of the conversation, but they're usually breezed through, or even swept aside. Possible, though perhaps not the easiest task, to reconcile Simmons' inability to shoot like a normal point guard with his ability to play like an abnormal, freakishly talented point guard. On the eve of his first All-Star game, let's give it a shot. First things first, as a point guard, Simmons is unique as a shooter in 2 ways. First, he rarely takes perimeter shots. 87.8% of his field goal attempts this season have been from less than 10 feet. Second, he is very poor on the outside shots he does attempt. He's made just 14 of 70 from 10 feet and out this season, 20%. The idea of him keeping the defense honest by pulling up for mid-range jumpers is appealing in theory. But there's no evidence that, if he started doing so regularly, he'd have close to the success necessary to compel defenses to play him any differently. Historically good. The minor controversy about Simmons wanting to work with Magic Johnson this offseason, besides being rather bizarre and a source of good jokes, again linked the 22-year-old Australian with the Hall of Famer. It was a reminder of how similar Simmons is to Johnson, a massive guard with an exceptional all-around game. Johnson, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, of course, and Simmons are the only players 6'8" or taller to average 8.2 or more assists in a season, per Basketball Reference. Simmons did it as a rookie. This year, Simmons is averaging 16.8 points, 9.0 rebounds and 7.9 assists per game. Oscar Robertson is the only other second-year player to ever exceed those numbers over the course of a full season. The future when you watch Simmons gliding in the open floor, whipping the ball out to three-point shooters or attacking the rim himself, there's a natural tendency to wonder what he could become. And when you watch him brick free throws late in games, he's 50% from the foul line in the fourth quarter, and turn down open jumpers, it's reasonable to wonder how much better Simmons will become, and not in a positive sense. If he doesn't improve his shot, will he ever become an elite player? There are 3 relevant points to make here. First, Simmons is already pretty darn close to an elite player. He's a deserving all-star this season. Second, he has room to get better in other areas. For instance, he's grown as a post player in his second year. Simmons has leapt from shooting 21 of 70, 30% on post-ups as a rookie to 50 for 99, 50.5% this season. Consistent defensive effort and turnovers are two parts of his game he should be able to improve. Third, his shot is fundamentally flawed. Despite the emphasis on keeping his elbow under the ball during the off-season and in training camp, Simmons flares his elbow. He doesn't get any backspin, has little arc, and generally doesn't give the ball a great chance to go in the hoop. While there are examples of players who developed their jumpers while in the NBA, it usually takes time. Before a late career renaissance from a long range, Johnson was a 19.2% three-point shooter in his first 8 seasons. Al Horford made 21 three-pointers in the first 7 years of his career before nailing 326 on 37.3% shooting in the next 3+ years. For Simmons, it's all about attaining realistic goals in the near future, making strides from the foul line, avoiding defensive lapses and unforced turnovers, and, most importantly, continuing to do the many things he already does at an all-star level. Click here to download the My Teams app by NBC Sports. Receive comprehensive coverage of your teams and stream the Flyers, Sixers and Phillies games easily on your device. More on the Sixers, Charlotte, North Carolina. When the likes of the Los Angeles Lakers' Kyle Kuzma, Philadelphia's Ben Simmons and Boston's Jason Tatum get to the NBA All-Star Game and partake in what's become the preferred run-and-fun style where defense is discouraged at virtually all costs, this much is clear. They'll be ready. Dunks, layups, three-pointers and little else. That was the play sheet for the Rising Stars game Friday night, one where Kuzma led all scorers with 35 points on the way to MVP honors, and the U.S. team defeated the World squad 161-144 on the floor that the All-Stars will be using on Sunday night. Tatum added 30 points for the U.S. The teams combined for 37 three-pointers, 55 dunks and shot a combined 12 free throws. Last year, the World team kicked our butts, Kuzma said. They came in here and beat us by 30. A lot of us kind of remembered that. It was 31, actually, 155-124, not that it matters. Tatum added 30 points in the game for first- and second-year players that was known for years as the rookie game. Atlanta's Trae Young finished with 25 points and 10 assists, Sacramento's De'Aaron Fox had 15 assists and Utah's Donovan Mitchell added 20 points, 9 assists and 7 rebounds. Everyone looked happy afterward. The U.S. squad had a bit more reason to look that way. There's a $25,000 bonus for winning the game, Kuzma said. So that's good. Philadelphia's Ben Simmons led the World team with 28 points on 14 for 17 shooting. Chicago's Lauri Markkanen had 21 points for the World squad, and Dallas' Luka Doncic had 13 points and 9 assists. Both teams shot 55%. The difference was on threes. The U.S. was 21 for 51, while the World was 16 for 52. The mood from the outset was predictably light, even including the pre-game speeches from U.S. coach Kyrie Irving of the Boston Celtics and world coach Dirk Nowitzki of the Dallas Mavericks. I want us to share the ball and not one guy dribble it 20 times and hoist something up, like Luka does with the Mavs, Nowitzki said, laughing a bit at his own joke. Irving's message was succinct. Just have some fun, Irving said. It's okay to compete. Doncic talked Phoenix's DeAndre Ayton out of taking the opening tap for the World team, with the young Mavs star jumping against Fox instead of having either center handle the honors. Young was throwing an alley-oop lob to Atlanta teammate John Collins for a 360-degree dunk in one possession, then crossing over Josh Okogie in almost comical fashion on the next. We gotta play some defense, Mitchell implored teammates at one point. It was unclear if anyone ever actually listened to his plea. There was one foul called in the entire first half, Markkanen getting whistled for it with 4:13 remaining until halftime. The first half saw 25 dunks and 23 pointers in 20 minutes. The sides played 10-minute quarters. Late in the half, Collins flashed a crossover dribble, then underhand tossed a pass off the backboard to himself for a dunk that had players on both sides reacting in mock disbelief. Format: this was the 5th year of the U.S. vs. World format. The world now leads the all-time series, 3-2. All 10 players on the world team hailed from a different nation, and 4 different continents were represented. And 8 of the players in this year's game were also in last year's event: Mitchell, Collins, Tatum, Kuzma and Fox for the U.S., Markkanen, Simmons and 2018 game MVP Bogdan Bogdanović were repeaters for the world side. NBA Phil Nowitzki and the world coaching staff from the Denver Nuggets largely stayed seated the whole game, while Irving worked the sideline like an actual NBA coach would, even running timeouts, working alongside the Milwaukee Bucks staff. Brooklyn's D'Angelo Russell, Phoenix's Devin Booker and San Antonio's Danny Green were at the game, and Minnesota's Karl Anthony Towns was courtside in a world jersey to represent for his Okogie, his Timberwolves teammate. Somber moment. A pre-game moment of silence was held immediately before the Canadian and U.S. national anthems in honor of the victims of the shooting in the Chicago suburb of Aurora, Illinois, earlier Friday.